So let's have a conversation on why people buy and why people don't buy. Because if we know why they don't buy, we don't do that. If we know why they do buy, then we just do that. Again, Seller OS, the psychology, the principles, the mindsets that we need to understand. There's 2 conditions why people buy. I'm going to go deep on this. But why people not buy? See? Okay, who wants to share like one big thing? Why people not buy? Someone share. Someone come off of you and share. Just share.
They don't understand the problem and they don't know where they're at.
They don't understand the problem and they don't know where we're at. They don't understand their problem?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And they don't know where they're at. Okay. Yeah. Why don't people actually buy? Why isn't the sale close?
They either don't trust the person that's selling, or they don't believe whatever they're selling is going to help them solve whatever problems they're going through or whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they don't trust themselves to make it a good decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would just say uncertainty that they're going to get the result they're looking for. And that could be uncertainty in the company, the product, or, like Christopher just said, themselves.
Yeah. So while all that is true, and there's the, Eli Wild's trust Trinity, trust yourself, trust the product, trust whatever, right? That is all true, but there's something even more true that's not talked about. The reason that it's not what you guys think. They don't buy because they don't feel safe deciding yet.
Say that again.
They don't buy before the product. Okay, this is massive. They don't feel safe deciding yet. What's the goal? The goal of a sales call is to what? Decide. Get them to decide. That's the only objective. It's a yes or no. Yes or no. Are you in or out? Right? That's it. So if that's the outcome of a call, which it is, who did not know that, by the way? Just curious. Yeah. And that's okay. The only outcome of a sales call is a decision. That's it. A decision. They're on a call to make a decision, whether it's a yes or a no. Am I inviting them or not? That's the decision. And if I'm inviting them, are they a yes or a no? Otherwise, it's not objectionless. It's not possible. Right? So if that's the case, people don't buy because they specifically I've learned is they don't feel safe deciding yet, because you haven't given them the conditions, the actual conditions to one, decide, and to feel like buying. Okay. The second thing is they don't trust themselves yet to buy. It ultimately comes down to themselves. This is where fear objections come in play. The only thing that does not get a sale forward is always fear. Think about objections as a fear objection. It always comes back to fear. Everyone can get resourceful. There's always payment plans. There's always a way. Even if it's a fucking deposit, it still comes back down to fear. How many know what I'm talking about? Okay, there's always a deposit. Some of you came in a deposit with me. Some of you came in on a payment plan. Some of you came in paid in full. Like, I met you where you're at, right? But I didn't allow fear to dictate your future. I didn't allow that because I knew too much is at stake. And so people buy because they don't trust themselves yet. So let me go back. They don't feel safe to decide yet, and they don't trust themselves yet. If they don't trust you, they don't trust themselves. Okay. So what's coming up from what I just said? Anyone want to share? And by the way, I'm not saying it's not the price, the offer, the timing, the product. I'm saying at the depth level, like the whole sales call, we have to get them to feel like they understand that they don't feel safe deciding yet, and they don't trust themselves yet. They're coming on the call not trusting themselves yet to say yes to themselves, right? And they don't feel safe deciding yet. Knowing that, what's coming up? Let's talk.
What's coming up for me is how I would approach a sales call with an agenda, and just not understanding how to create that safe space for a prospect, and almost just like trying to always force the sale.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I totally get that. And that's very common, right? So what's missing is safety and self-trust.
Patrick, I want to add that this is a beautiful way to evaluate the call.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to evaluate, did I say everything I need to say? Like, where are they at in feeling safe to decide? Like, do I feel they're at that point? Have I heard enough from them that they are feeling safe enough to decide? It's beautiful.
It is. And sometimes I'll let the dog run. I'll let the shadows run. I'll just listen to them running. And it's not about cutting them off, or when I said like, oh, all these stories that they're in, yes, let them run, but validate them with empathy, and you are in their nervous system. So we're going to go through a process called where you guys are going to learn today how to validate empathy, right? To lead them, to listen to them actively, so they can hear you and feel you. So the truth is that people don't buy because of whatever we think. They buy when they feel ready and certain. When they feel ready and certain, they feel ready and certain, right? So the decision itself is state and certainty. State and certainty, right? And so when I say that, there are actually two conditions. Now, these are the two conditions that are required for them to say yes. If these conditions are not in play, and we're going to go so fucking deep, and then over the next 10 weeks, we're going to go even deeper on all of them in each stage, okay? To the point you guys are like, what the fuck? This is like, holy shit. So two conditions. They must feel like buying. How many of you have heard me say that on like 100 times? Okay, of course, but I've never told you how do you make them feel like buying, have I? Kind of. I kind of broke it down, and then I broke it down here, and then I broke it down there, and you say this and that. But I'm going to tell you exactly. I'm going to go deep. The condition number one is they feel like buying. State in activation. Okay, your job is to make them feel better, make them feel better about themselves. So every conversation that I'm coming into, that I'm entering, that you're entering, my job is to make them feel better about themselves. Again, that's the psychology. We're not going to get into the how right now. I just want you to understand. People buy because they feel like buying. Think about any purchase that you've ever bought. The only reason that you bought is because it felt good to you, didn't it? Yes. So when I say we're going to go into the hypnotic conversational hypnosis in 10 weeks, like I could bypass the 9 weeks and just teach you guys conversational hypnosis, and we can get right past the critical mind into the emotion of feeling like buying, peak desire. I can do it. But there's courses that you can just do it, and there's the hypnotic closer on Instagram that teaches that shit. But I'm not going to teach that. We're going to wait till week number 10. You guys know the hypnotic closer? You guys know what I'm talking about? I know him. I know him personally. And I say that because that is a great skill, but we need the foundation, right? We need the fucking foundation. We need a foundation that if I took away the skill, you're still going to move the sale forward. Those are just skills. Okay. So our job is to make them feel like buying. Right? So on your calls, how many of you did not know that? Just give me a little grasp. Just did not know that. Just 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, cool. How many of you no idea how to do that? Like feel like buying. Make them feel like buying. Okay. Just curious. This happens in multiple ways. Because you're like, well, how do we make them feel like buying? Okay, I broke it down for you. And by the way, all this is going to be on the Seller OS to revisit with the breakdown. I'm having a map for you so you can revisit inside the external OS. So this is like a system it's being built in real time. You have access to, and we can have conversations on outside the war room. Okay. So really simple, expanding the pain and the cost. This happens in multiple areas. So when you expand the pain, right? And so here's the problem they're experiencing. Here's the painful consequence of that problem continuing to fester. Right? When you expand the painful consequence of not solving it, what happens? The pain that we're expanding, the pain gets bigger. And when the pain gets bigger, they feel what? I don't want this anymore. That's one way, right? We're timelining the cost of staying the same. Like 5 years in the future, we're going to the future. If this continues, what's that going to feel like? Okay. I don't want that anymore. Okay. That's one way to do it, right? So pain creates movement energy. They don't want that, moving away from pain, moving toward pain. So pit to peak is pain in the pit, and the peak is actually pleasurable sensations they want to feel. They don't want to feel this, they want to feel this. The next one is diagnosing the bottlenecks. Okay. I got a whole story around this. I'm not going to tell it right now. I'll tell it when we get to the stage. But basically, when we can we can tell them and reveal the real cause of their problem and their symptoms. Like, y'all been a doctor. Y'all, the doctor's like, this is really what's fucking going on. He got the voice. He's like, this is what's really going on. This is why it's happening. You're like, oh, thank God. It's relief. Relief and clarity is trust. And when we can reveal the source of the fucking problem, it's so much relief. It wasn't that. It's that instead. Yeah. It is like so much trust of like, oh my God, I feel so good knowing this truth. It doesn't mean I have the fucking answer. It just means This is the problem. This is what's really happening, right? It creates desire, right? We want to create this emotion of desire, and it doesn't create resistance. So I guess the question I'll ask you all is, are you diagnosing or just agreeing with their surface problem? Are you diagnosing the real problem, or are you just agreeing with their surface level problem, what they think the problem is? Oh, it's the leads are the problem. I don't have enough leads. Okay. I'm curious. Anyone share?
I would say I'm agreeing with the surface level problem and not taking the prospect deep enough into their pain so they could come to their own realization.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I get that. Let's continue going. So paint the peak. This is the future desire. So when you make the future feel so real and activate emotions and anchoring this emotional payoff, this is called the payoff statement, the emotional payoff, logical payoff. When they start to have this, they start to feel, have this thought of like, I want this, which is also a buyer identity. I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this now. I want this, right? They want this future. That's how we also make them feel like buying. The next one's embodied influence. This is what we talked about last week. This is the operating system of this program, of this experience, but it's also life, right? Every moment we have is a moment of changing who we're being that changes the outcome. Who I'm being changes the outcome. Who I'm being changes the result. And so your state creates their state. You all learned this last week. It's the foundation of influence. Curiosity, you're curious, they become curious. You're empathetic, they become vulnerable, empathetic. They open up. You're closed, they become closed. You're open, they become open, right? Limited state 1.0, possibility 2.0 states. When you're certain, they feel safe deciding, right? So it's accessing that certainty, right? So my question is, just rate yourself for a moment. What are you bringing to the calls? What's the energy you're bringing on the fucking calls right now? Because if you're bringing the 1.0 states, that is not going to move them forward. That is not going to move a sale forward to a close. Okay. Number 5, stories, metaphors, and proof. You probably should write this down. Stories, metaphors, and proof. Stories, metaphors, and proof. It's interesting because like sometimes I'll skip some stages and I'll just talk in stories. I'll just talk in metaphors and I'll show the proof. And I put them in a state to feel like what? Buying. Right? You ever had a call where someone just showed you case studies and you said, anyone had a call where they just showed you case studies live and you felt something in you that you want that? Yes? In anything? Yeah. That's one of the fastest way to make them feel like buying. So I'm sharing with you all the conditions. Imagine having all of these fucking conditions, guys. Could you fucking imagine all of these conditions? How, like we stack them up. Even if today you take one of them, but we're going to stack all of them over the next 10 weeks. Okay. And then we're going to go through it again because you'll be like, fuck, I missed 3 of them and I only really, it's okay. I'm giving you the sauce and we're going to play with the sauce every week. Okay. So these are the conditions, right? I'm sorry. This is condition 1. There's condition 2. So if our job is to move a sale forward, what makes people buy is what? 1, make them feel like buying. Number 2 is no more questions. No more questions. You guys heard me say this. So how does this work? Well, an unanswered questions is always no sale, because an unanswered question is a red flag. It's a concern subconsciously. It's a red flag that you didn't actually talk about. It becomes an objection every single fucking time. An infected objection is just an unanswered question that never got answered either before the call or during the call at all. It was never discussed. And so they kept it in their logical mind and they didn't ask it because you didn't give them the space to ask it, right? So how does it work? How is no more questions created? Well, really simple. It happens before the call, right? This is the strategic seduction system we're going to go through in about 8 weeks, where we can get them into a peak state to show up before the call, right? We can, by having a preset of questions that they actually go through beforehand, right? Or having a 2-call process to answer a majority of their questions between step 1 and step 2. And when they get to step number 2, there's really no more questions, right? Not major uncertainty questions. There's just not. It's a different conversation. So that's where that strategic seduction asset system will come in play. But just understand, we can get them to actually have no questions before the call. Not that will cause an objection. We're actually answering their questions to make them feel like, oh shit, like I feel better, because you're in the buying pocket when there's no more questions. Okay. The other time is during the call. So no more questions is created through the sanctuary, which we're covering today, right? Like basically in the sanctuary, what do you want to get out of this call? What is the most important thing for you to move forward today? What do you need to know? What is the most important thing you need to know in order to say yes? What are you looking for most in a marketing company? What do you value most? What are you looking for? What do you need to know? What do you need to see? What's your checklist? If there was a checklist of like what would be a yes for you to move forward, what is the 5 things that you need? So again, we're going to go deeper on that today. But it's in the beginning of the call. If they say these 6 things are important to them, fucking make sure you answer all 6 things clear so it move on. Okay. The next thing is in the pitch and the pre-pitch. So what questions do you have? What questions do you have? What red flags? What is there anything that's a red flag for you right now? What other questions do you have? What questions have gone unanswered for you that are really important for you that I need to hear? By the way, I have question bank for all of you. I created a savage question bank. It's on a document. I've got all this on the bank. You don't have to remember any of this right now. All right, I got you all covered. I'm just giving you the seller OS. Again, in the pre-pitch and the pitch, we're not even offering them anything. Like, how do we get to before the pitch to make sure there's no more questions before the pitch, right? And then as soon as you do the pitch, how do you get to the point where right after the pitch, we didn't even tell them the price. Is there any questions? What questions do you have? What's coming up for you? What are you uncertain about? What are you unclear about? And if the last thing is the money, great. We'll handle that. But what's the unanswered questions? What's the red flags? What's the concerns? A logistical, I'm not sure in 2 weeks I'll be able to do X. Okay, cool. What else? What else? Give it to me. So if it's at the end, there's no objections, 0 fucking objections. You guys get that? Okay. It's an art. It's an art. It's an art. It's a practice. I think, yeah. So this is what I call the savage buying pocket. So right, what I just shared with you is the savage buying pocket. We're going to go deep on this. When I say deep, I'm setting the frames right now and we're going to embody it. Okay.